So today, after having this lens for a very long time, I thought I should finally make a video about it. So this is the 7artisans 35mm 0.95, and there is actually a lot of videos about it online, but it's just like short review videos with like some sample images, and I've been using this lens for almost a year now. And in this video I'll talk about all the negatives and all the positives about it. And let's start with the build quality. The build quality of this lens is superb. It's fully aluminum. It has a declicked aperture and it's actually very smooth. I didn't knock it off by mistake, but if you want to keep it at 0.95, maybe you should put a tape on it or something like that under it so it doesn't move around. The focus ring is, it's actually not a double helicoid focus ring, which is the type I prefer. It's a cam focus system, so it actually focuses beyond infinity. So the infinity mark on it is not accurate, and that is something I find very annoying, because if you want to like just pull focus to infinity while you're filming a video, you cannot. You need to really check the monitor to stop at infinity, and with 0.95 that's really hard. That is, it's hard to pull focus on this lens. I have taken photos where I thought I was in focus, and then it was just not. Unlike many other lenses I have, the back element doesn't actually move in or out when you're focusing, which does create this kind of suction effect in the back cap, but that's not the case in the camera. It doesn't do anything in the camera, so it's not going to damage anything, I suppose. When I first got this lens, I tested it at home with this Pentax paper thing that I have to test lenses, and it does have some vignetting, which is to be expected. It's a 0.95 lens. It does have this field curvature, so it's not really, it doesn't have a flat area that's in focus. So if you focus on a wall, the entire focus edge to edge will not be correct. The wall will be out of focus on the edges, because the focus is actually closer on the edges than the center. This is not really an issue unless you're framing your photo with the center in focus and then moving your framing, in which case you will get out of focus images, which is not really the nicest thing to have. Video. So this lens is a dream for video. It has amazing separation. I have tested this many times, but most recently on a concert shoot that I did, and as you can see, the separation between the guitarist and the lead singer is even though they're standing right next to each other at 0.95, I can separate them so well from each other. It's just, I was amazed by the image quality I was getting out of this lens at 0.95 with video. With photos, you would be getting, obviously you would be able to pixel peep and see the issues more, such as chromatic aberration. This lens has plenty of that. You'll have to fix that in post. It's not the end of the world. We've done it many times in Lightroom. It just does it automatically anyways, but you need to know that it does. The image quality does improve all the way up to f4, f5.6, and then slowly you start getting diffraction, and it just it decreases a little bit. But the image quality coming out of this lens is superb. It can take amazing clean images when the aperture is closed down. When the aperture is opened up all the way, it can take, again, amazing dreamy images. But when I got this, I think it was at the end of the last year, 2020, November or so, I didn't like it. I had no interest to use this lens. I took this lens with me on a trip and on this trip I took like some photos just to show that the lens can actually take photos. But the thing that disturbed me the most is that it's a 0.95 lens, so it's like it gives off the vibe that it's a little bit more artsy, it's a little bit more character, but to me that character was just not there. I would rather use a 50-year-old lens and get the character than use this at 0.95 and fail to pull focus often. But here's my solution. When you have this lens, you need two things. First, you need an ND filter. You need a variable ND filter in daylight. If you want to use anything remotely close to 0.95, you need a variable ND filter, period. If you want to use this lens at even 1.4, you need to pull the ND filter all the way to the darkest setting, and even with that you cannot open up the aperture more than 1.4. But for photos you can use it with a variable ND filter at 0.95 all the time. The other thing you need, definitely on this lens, and I regret that I haven't thought of this before, is a black pro mist filter. A black pro mist filter, what this filter basically does is that this filter gives a bloom to your image. It makes the highlights a little stronger. It makes them bloom into the shadows. It makes the image just a little bit softer, but not really. It makes it a little flatter. It mixes basically the colors. It turns your very, very digital image into a less digital looking version of it. I've been using this filter from KF Concept. It's called Nano X Pro MRC Black Mist 1/4. And that's the strength of it. And I do recommend 1/4 and not 1/8, because 1/8 is a little not strong enough. Since I put this filter on this lens, I love it. I love it. Every single second I use this lens, I love it. Before this filter, this lens was like, it was for me too crisp, yet not crisp enough, and with too many issues. But since I put this on, I've been getting very consistent, very good looking, even if it's fully open, like acceptable images out of this. Would I recommend this? And for whom would I recommend this? I would recommend this for anybody who has an X Pro 3. That is the camera to use this with. If you have an X Pro camera, so if you're already into that manual focus, optical viewfinder, you know, the entire thing, this is the lens for you. If you're looking for a 35mm lens that you want to use daily, but you would also appreciate if you could use it in very dark situations without pumping up that ISO all the way to however many thousand it goes, yes, this is the lens. That 0.95 doesn't mean that you have to use that 0.95. And many people have complained that that aperture ring is not clicked. I love it. If you're shooting a video and that aperture ring is clicked, you're gonna have a bad time. With this, I've been having really good time. I just pull it to the right a little if it's too bright, pull it to the left a little if it's too dark, and nobody realizes anything in the image. So I don't understand that complaint over the click thing. But for video, and this is important, there is a lot of focus breathing. I mean, it's not a lot when you consider other lenses that people actually use for cinema that breathe like crazy. But from the farthest, so infinity, to the minimum of 0.37 meters, it does breathe quite a lot. When you're actually using it, so when in the field, you won't realize that it breathes that much unless you're pulling focus from something that's 20 meters away to something that's an arm's length away. But it is something to be wary of. Otherwise, for video, it's 0.95, and it's the cheapest 0.95 out there. There is other 0.95 lenses, but none this cheap. And when you put a Pro Mist filter on it, it gives this look that you cannot achieve with any other lens out there. Older lenses, check, but 0.95, nope. For APS-C, for a specific mount that you have, so no adapters, nothing to wiggle into place, nothing to worry about, just a single lens you put into your backpack and you go out there and take photos and shoot video. There is this new 50mm 0.95 version of this lens that just came out. I do consider it. Maybe I will get it eventually. Maybe there will be a set of these. I don't know, something like 28, 35, 50. That would be amazing. This lens is great. You need to know the disadvantages this lens will bring, such as very hard to focus, fringing all the time, focus breathing, field curvature. But the pros of this lens definitely outweigh the cons. For me at least. You will have to decide for yourself, but I hope this review helped you. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you next time.